We're going to learn how to use Google Docs, which is really important in an English class. As you can see, I have a Google folder with all of the apps. I recommend clicking on Google Drive and you're going to see what pops up in my drive, which is a lot of very exciting teacher things. In order to start something, I would recommend using Google Drive to begin a doc rather than going to the Google Docs app, because that way it will be saved in your drive, which is a lot easier to find. Worst case scenario, you can always go into the Google Docs app as well and search for it, but I think this is a lot easier, especially since you're going to be using this for many classes. So at the bottom right, you can see the plus sign. You click on it and you can say create new Google Doc, which is what I'm going to do. Google Docs is rather limited on the iPad, unfortunately, so we might be using Pages as well, and I will also have a template for you available on our Canvas page so that when you're using MLA format, it's just easy for you. So I'm going to put how to. The first thing you want to do with a Google Doc is to always name it, because that's how you find them when you're searching. If you just leave it as untitled and you have 50 untitles, it's going to be so hard to find what you're looking for, and we want you to do this as fast as possible. So you name it and click create, and it automatically opens the Google Doc. So as you can already see, there's fewer options than normal, but you can change play with the font. So if I type B, that's just standard, and this is an Arial font. If I want to make it bold, I can press that B, and you can see it's highlighted, and that B is highlighted. If I press the italic I now have that. You can see that my keyboard is trying to decide what I'm writing, and it's thinking I'm speaking Spanish, which is awesome. Then if I unclick it and I click the U, that also underlines it. And then for strike through, you just have that, and then you can strike through, which is pretty cool. You can change the font color by clicking that A, or you can do different hues. For the purposes of most of your classes, you're going to want it to be black, and you also can highlight. So its default is no color, but you can choose different colors as well. Next to that highlight color, which is selected right here, that is aligning the text left. That's what you should have for your essays. I'm going to click return and just kind of show you that's left. If I click the middle one, it will automatically center it, which is pretty cool. And if I click the right one, it will go to the right side. So if you look at the keyboard functions don't have too many options, but I'm going to show you some cool things. So I'm going to click return. One thing that you can do is that little arrow, those little arrows on the left and right side, those make it uppercase or lowercase. You see the little grayed out options and you think, well, if I click Q or if I click the arrow, it's not going to do anything. Correct. If you want to get to the 1, you put your finger at the top of the Q button, or the 1Q, whatever you want to call it, and then you swipe down, and that's how you get a 1. You can swipe down for the D as well and get a money sign. Or an asterisk. So those are different ways that you can get to the symbols. You start at the top of the key and you just drag your finger down the screen, and that's how you get the symbols, which is pretty cool. Another thing is if you click the at the bottom left corner of your keyboard, also on the other side of the space bar, if you click the number key, you can also get to symbols and numbers. And if you click above the ABC, you get even more symbols and numbers. And then you click ABC to go back. Another cool feature, if you are tired of looking at a screen and you don't want to do the typing yourself, there's a little microphone right next to the keyboard. And hey, even if you like to type and like to look at the screen, this is pretty cool. I'm going to click it and wants to know if it should enable dictation. Yes, it should. And sure, I'll go ahead and share. Sweet. dictation. Oh, well, I paused too long and so it ended. Otherwise, you could just click the microphone again. There's also, to the left of the microphone, a world symbol, which you can click and you can actually get different keyboards. So Memoji is a big thing. I'll probably create that because that's kind of fun. Right now, it looks like I only have the English keyboard and emojis, but you can add different keyboards. And I like to add the Spanish one. Oh, that's another one, is how to add accents if you're not a Mac person. Usually accent marks go over vowels, and if you're taking Spanish, I'm not very familiar with Navajo, so I apologize, but if there are accent marks, this also pertains. So if you put, I'm going to go ahead and put my finger on the E button and just hold it, and you can see that I have different options. So I want that E, and there I go. Another common character in Spanish is the ñ, and again, you just put your finger on the end, hold down, and drag up to the symbol that you want. So for your Spanish or Navajo classes, that can be really important. After the align right button, you also have bullets that you can do, and I think, nope. If you hold it down, you don't get other options, whereas normally you would. You can also do numbering, and you can indent more by pressing that far right button, and that also changes the numbering, or you can click left as well. The top button above that on the right side with the arrow pointing to the left, that's undo, and then to the right of it is redo. This plus sign, you can insert links, comments, images, tables, a page break, page number, which is pretty useful. If you click page number, you're going to want to select that first option. And to get rid of the keyboard, I'm just going to click down. So I have page numbers. Once you add page numbers, you can click to the left of the one, and this is important for MLA format. You always put your last name in the top right corner and then add a space. So that's one way that you can do it. I know there's a space, I think there's a spacing option on here, but I'm not sure. I'm not as familiar with Google Docs on the iPad as I am on the desktop version. If you click the A, here we go. You can, again, see those text options. After the strike through, you can use the X squared with the 2 above. That can be important for math. Or if you're using, I think it's Chicago style, where you use footnotes, that's useful. The second X, I think, would be more for math. I usually don't do anything with style with headings. I prefer to format my papers manually. If you click back, then you can also choose font size or font. For our purposes, we will always use Times New Roman. I am a Times New Roman girl. It's what MLA calls for. You just have to learn to love it. So you can choose the font and the font size. If you click this button to the left, it'll make it smaller. We always want it to be 12-point font. Again, you can choose the font color, the highlight color there, and you can clear formatting. Another thing you can do here, here's where you can play with how you use numbering or bullet points so you can format it the way you want, so you have more options there. And you can also do line spacing. The default is going to be 1.15. For essays, you always want it to be double spaced. You also can have your text justified, which is that box on the right. I don't want to do that. You don't want to justify text because it's a little bit harder to read. So you just have to know that with Google Docs, the default, you have to change the font from Arial to Times New Roman. You need to make it 12-point font, and you need to change the line spacing, and that's all with this A with the little lines next to it. You can check word count, page setup. With margins, the default for margins, thank goodness, is 1 inches all around, as you can see here, and that is also MLA format. Page color. Another thing for MLA format is you need a page break for the Works Cited page. So if you click the plus button, you can do an automatic page break, and then you click justified in this, or aligned in the center. You type in Works Cited. Oh, and I can see I'm still in Arial. So what I want to do is click that A again, scroll down to Times New Roman, go back, pick 12-point font, paragraph, line spacing. Man, it defaulted again. That's a pain. Okay, and then we're back. So you can see that the font is changed, Works Cited. It does have to be capitalized. I click once, you can see it's still double spaced. I click Align Left, and you're basically good to go. One thing that you can't do on here are the hanging indentations. So that is unfortunate. But you can email me and I will do it for you. Or I will have a template on Canvas so you won't have to mess with the settings at all. It'll automatically be there for you. Or you can use Pages, and I will also give a video tutorial on how to use Pages. So I'm just going to push that down. You can see in the top left corner there's a check mark next to How To. When I click that, it says it's done. I can't edit it. And from here, I can share it by clicking that person in the top right. And I can just type in names, and names come up. So Miss Scholler is one of them. So I could share it with her if I wanted. So if you don't know your friend's email address or FUSD address, you can just do that. And yeah, that's about it. So I hope you found this useful for Google Docs on the iPad. And now I'm going to swipe down.